everyone. Welcome to another brand new episode of The
Geek
Buddies. Hey!
This is one of the things we probably should have talked about before we started recording.
We're all worried about the rundown and who's doing what, but maybe we should have addressed that as well. Well, thank you.
What I missed already?
That's why Kalinowski is a great improv guy. Yes, and the Geek Buddies. And appreciate it.
Just sit there and just look at you go.
No,
whoops.
I'm not going to say
No,
it.
but. No, but.
But we're into it. We're going to have a lot of fun here today talking about all the geek news happening over the past week. As you noticed there, Michael Vogel not joining us today. He is on vacation traveling to parts unknown to have fun with his friends, his other friends, his other buddies. So he will not be joining us today, nor will he be on the Loki review. But we have Laura Kelly stepping in for Mike Vogel for the Loki review later on, so look forward to that as well with MF5 and, of course, Shannon and me. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But today, we're going to get into so many things. I'm one of your hosts. I am the Outlaw John Roca, joined as always by this gentleman in the middle there.
Hey, this is Shannon McClung. I am an animation writer and a television actor where you may have seen me on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Silicon Valley, and Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And sitting in as our special guest, one of the greatest Schmoedown competitors ever, a great pundit, a great reviewer, a guy who plays Call of Duty till 5 a.m. This is our brother, Mike Kalinowski. Mike, how are you, my man?
God, again last night. Again, I went to bed at 5:30 this morning. Shannon is pissed at me because she didn't get to sleep last night. Too bad. I felt bad because I had a bad night at Call of Duty. Bad night. A lot of cheating.
Lot of cheating. God
almighty.
As one who has played video games with Mike Kalinowski, if you happen to see Shannon Barney's video on Instagram and Twitter, I can verify that is 100% accurate. And that's when he has played with his friends. Yeah. He yells and curses like that. I can only imagine what he does. The other stuff that he does to strangers.
It's embarrassing. I know it. It's embarrassing. It's an addiction. I'm not proud of it, but I won't stop. I won't stop.
Can't stop, won't stop. I respect that. Absolutely.
I got to go out on a high note. When I play, I got to leave on a good game, so I got to go out on a high note.
Oh, you're like that gambler who won't walk away from the table in Vegas.
My family has lost their house and everything, but I can't walk away.
Shannon showing up with both babies in each arm. Honey, you gotta come home.
Honey, take Diet and Coke home.
Oh my God, that's perfect. So we're gonna get into all of this. Thank you all so much for joining us, whether you're watching us on the Outlaw Nation channel, which is what you're on now on YouTube, or listening to us on the Geek Buddies podcast feed. We appreciate it. Of course, the Geek Buddies is a separate podcast feed, so wherever you download podcasts, just look up the Geek Buddies and subscribe. Leave a rating and leave a review. We appreciate that. The more of you that subscribe, it allows us to kind of have a little cachet. There's some negotiations going on behind the scenes where I might be moving this to another network, and it could help in that respect. So please do that. We'd appreciate it madly. And of course, thank you to all the people who've been on the train for this whole time. Thank you very much. For those of you who are new, this is how the show works. Each of us presents a geek news item, and then we talk about it. Then we take a little bit of a break, and we jump into a main topic. And our main topic today is going to be that Slave One controversy. And is it as big of a deal as people are making it out to be? So we'll get into that a little bit later. All right, Shannon, let's get into it. What's our first thing?
Trailers. Yes. Another week, another batch of 3 trailers. Let's start with the one that was actually released last week, right after we recorded. This seems to happen a lot with us. Maybe one day we'll catch on. But yeah, we got the second trailer for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Another great look at this movie. We get some more fantastical elements. Some more of those fantasy elements. We got a shot of what sure looked like a comics-accurate abomination taking on a sorcerer that really appears to be Wong. I do think Kevin Feige went ahead and confirmed that, yes, the abomination does take on Wong in some sort of fighting ring. I've already been in for this movie since the first trailer was released. A little bit more of a look at Tony Leung's the Mandarin. Everything about this trailer. I mean, I was already on board, but gentlemen, what do we think? The second look at Shang-Chi. Kalinowski, take it away.
Yeah. But you and I watched that together. We were doing a self-tape and we threw it on there. And I had to say, pre the trailers, Shang-Chi was one of the ones that this and Widow were the two of the four that were coming out this year that I was like really excited for. That first trailer, I was not a fan of. Too much dumb comedy. That whole Aquafina character was like, okay, this is we're a good team on the end line. I was like, oh, not this. So if you notice this trailer, very little of that. The comedy was gone. She had one little line in it. So maybe I wasn't in the minority. Maybe there was a lot of people that saw that and go, okay, let's do a different trailer. Much more into the mysticism. We see kind of look like Fin Fang Foom underwater there. Maybe that's some kind of dream sequence. But this trailer was great. This was the one that was like, yeah, this is what I want. I know the comedy's still going to be in there. I know it's their thing. It's what they do. But a little bit less abrasiveness of what I felt in the first one, a little more story. And they're going for it. I mean, man, they're going into mysticism, full bore. 10 years ago, if they would have done this movie, I think they would have tempered it back a bit and just teased stuff. And they're going full on, looks like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in certain parts with all the flower gardens and all that. So, yeah, that was great.
Johnny? Yeah, I agree with what Michael said. Absolutely. I like the fact that we kind of showed another aspect of this movie. Yeah, they leaned on the comedy because that's what Marvel does, and they do it well most of the time. Not all the time, but most of the time they do it really well. And so I was wondering what the second trailer was going to show us. And certainly we got more, as Michael said, about more of the fights, but also we got more of the interaction between his dad and Shang-Chi, which I think is great. More tonally young, as you said. Is a lot of people speculating he is the Mandarin. So that look between you better watch what you say to me, boy. I mean, that's a moment. I think we've all had that moment with our fathers at some point. We've all had that snap reaction, and Dad's like, oh, you keep pushing. So we've had that moment. So that's relatable a little more with Michelle Yeoh, which I think was great, getting more with her. So there's going to be some very interesting relationships here that are explored in the movie, and some emotional depths that are plumbed here to try to figure out what this is all about and connected. And well, yeah, we're still gonna have the comedy, but I mean, the fact that this is going to be very much about fighting, very much about son mother relationships. I think this is going to be very, very interesting overall, and I like this trailer a lot. And yeah, seeing Fin Fang Foom was great. And Mike, I didn't even think about it being a dream sequence. That makes so much sense.
It just seemed, Yeah, Shannon and I were talking like, I don't know if he will appear in proper, in there, but that seemed like he's underwater, and it just seemed like a dream. Could be completely wrong. Wrong, but that's what it seemed like. But it seems like he is playing heavily into the 10 rings. And Shannon, I think you were the one that told me, because the rings are so large, I think that they were on his claws at one point. That's brilliant if that's the case, and I'm sure it plays into it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let me ask you guys this,
because stuff is great too.
Yeah, that was so weird. I mean, who knows how it'll tie in, but that's Abomination. And Feige, like you said, McClung confirmed it, I think, yesterday or today, and Wong. Yeah. So, what do you guys feel? Because I don't know if we were talking. What are your thoughts on his costume?
Shang-Chi's costume?
Yeah, okay. I just, it's so bland to me. Like, I've seen the comics, he's always like either sleeveless and he's got green, red, and black and a lot more. It just seems like a weird, like, maybe they'll explain it in the movie. It just seems like, well, it's not a gi per se, and it's not. Right. It's such a weird costume as a character anyway. Like, why would a martial artist have a costume?
Well, and I don't think of it as a costume. I literally think like this is more of a uniform. Like, this is probably something that his father had set aside for him. Like, when you take your place by my side, this is what you wear to conquer.
And it just seemed like it's a very bland kind of t-shirt and black pants, as opposed, if it is something you are going to be leading the people or leading our group, the 10 rings, a little more ornamental, and I don't know. It's nitpicky, I know, and I'll get destroyed for it, but I'm a big costume guy. I love the costumes in films, and I've seen a lot of stuff talk about the costume in this, where it's just like, this is what you're giving him. He said so much better designs in the comics, and Marvel is so good at adapting the comics, which you would think is ridiculous in the comics, to live action. They do that, I think, better almost than any superhero superhero franchise. They nail the costumes, and this one is a little. But, maybe it's a starting costume. You get something bigger at the end. Who knows?
Because I wasn't a big Shang-Chi reader, like the choice to put him in that red outfit, it didn't bother me at all, but also this is clearly something that he's not going to be wearing more than likely until the third act.
Yeah.
And whatever we get for Shang-Chi 2, my guess is that there will probably be a redesign because they want to sell a different toy.
Yeah.
A more free-flowing design.
And I guess that's what I say. Like on the toy shelves when I walk by, it just is very bland. The packaging's red. His suit is red. It's a two-tone. Hey, I'm going off topic and it's nitpicky. No, but this is the two of you, and I could talk about this stuff too. Exactly. I can't talk about this to Shannon. She's listening. Okay, it's a cool movie.
She's probably sleeping. But with the mysticism issue connected to Kalinowski, there is. I remember that Scarlet Witch has the same kind of colors in that new outfit she was wearing near the end of the show as she came down. That kind of red with the black combo, the flowing, jacket, and you've got a little bit of that with Shang-Chi. So maybe there is a kind of uniform approach to how they're having these heroes look who are connected to the mystic side of things. So maybe that's an approach they're having. But I take your point, certainly. But it may be that's the approach, and I'm sure it'll change. Just like Captain America's costume changed. Oh yeah, every movie. I'm sure it'll change as well for sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, Shang-Chi is coming out September 3rd. Did you have anything else, John?
No. I was just handing it back to you, man.
Shang-Chi's coming out September 3rd. Our next trailer is for a new series from Apple TV Plus, which I saw this trailer and I was delighted. It is called Schmigadoon. It is a musical comedy starring Cecily Strong and Keegan-Michael Key. It's the writers are actually some guys that have written a lot of animation, actually. So if any of our readers are not big old school Broadway people, there was a show called Brigadoon that came out a long time ago that was about this sort of magical town that these two hikers ended up finding. And it only appeared like once every 100 years. So the comedic take on this, anytime you add schma to a title, it's clearly a joke. But this looks like Apple's first foray into musical comedy. And musicals, they are not cheap to make because there are so many aspects to that production. I watched this trailer. I thought it was hilarious. I think my cohorts might have a different opinion than mine. So, John, since we actually texted about this, why don't we have you start?
Well, look, you if it's a musical, I'm kind of half in to see if it's any good. And you look at this thing, Schmigadoon, there it is. I mean, you got Keegan-Michael Key and Cecily Strong. Cecily Strong, right? They're both fantastic. Obviously, I love her on SNL. I mean, if that was her going out thing which she did the other day, then God love her. That was fantastic. But so you look at this situation, you see them there, and I'm a fan of Brigadoon. That's Gene Kelly, Sid Charisse, Van Johnson in that film, and they discover this city that only exists every 70 years or something like that, and only one day passes every time the city reappears in Scotland. And so that's great musical. So this idea that they're walking into this sort of fantastical world, you've got Kristen Chenoweth, you've got Alan Cumming, you've got so many people from the musical theater world who have experience with this kind of decorating this world. My fear is this is going to be a 150-foot fall off a tightrope, or it's going to be really, really funny. So that's what I'm hoping for, the funny part, because I love both of these actors and everybody involved in this, and I'd love to see a funny musical. But I have a horrible fear because Apple doesn't have the greatest track record with their original content. Certainly people love Ted Lasso. There are people who defend The Morning Show. But, Lacey's Story didn't really catch on with a lot of people. Defending Jacob was reviewed well, but nobody watched it. And C, you can go back and forth on. But Orphan has been good. So it's just like, it's just an interesting mixed bag with Apple. And I'm in the middle of watching Physical now. And I like it, but it's super dark. So I don't think it's made for the mainstream public. So what did you think about this, Kalinowski?
Not my cup of tea. I'll just say that. John, I don't know if you might have been gone, but FSU, we did Brigadoon.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That was like
gone. I don't
remember, right when I was in the height of theater over there with Brigadoon, and didn't like it then, and I'm not a musical guy.
Right.
It's just not my thing. But the talent involved, it looked fun. The trailer was very funny.
Yes.
Like Shan said, Schmigadoon. It knows exactly what it is. The girl, the lead, was she Rainn Wilson's date at a wedding in The Office? Was that her? Was that the episode?
That's a different actress.
Oh, okay.
Was she in The Office, that girl?
Not that I recall. The actress you're talking about. No, her name is Kellen Coleman. That's who. That was Dwight's. The bridesmaid that Dwight
that's what I thought. I was like, oh no, but then SNL. You said SNL. I was like, oh, that's what. Yeah, she does the Weekend Update. She guest appears on that a lot as a really good character. Yeah, I don't know if I'll check this out.
Okay,
it's so funny. I see you guys, and you know, especially John, like and people you run with, like how much you guys watch.
Oh, yeah.
How the hell do you have time? Like I pick and choose. Like I still haven't watched Loki yet. Loki's gonna be a 6-episode binge for me. I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I'll binge that. There's just not enough time in that day for all the stuff. And you guys like, I got this, I covered this. I'm like, how do you do it?
And later on,
how do you do it?
It helps to have an understanding girlfriend. I tell you that right now, because I bet you could have time if you were staying up till 5:30 watching the movies instead of Call of Duty.
I played 8 hours last night.
That's what I'm saying.
I played 8 hours
That's 3 movies. That's at least 3 movies.
I know.
That's 3 movies. That's also a work day that you devoted to a video.
And I didn't get paid, McClung. That's why I need to do this Twitch. I need to do these morons do it the Twitch and sit there and get thousands of dollars and pay my rent by just playing video games all day.
I'm telling you, there's a possibility there.
I'm going to do a Twitch and an OnlyFans channel. You watch, boys. Shirtless Call of Duty.
So here's what I would do for the Shang-Chi uniform.
Here it is.
Bare-chested as God intended.
Bare-chested with a dragon drawn on my chest.
Hello. What did you think, Shannon? Did you like the trailer?
I did, man. I thought it was funny. I think Kristen Chenoweth is hilarious. I love seeing Alan Cumming in in that type of role, sort of like the mayor. I think it's going to be a blast. I certainly can recognize where you're coming from, though. A production, a riff musical comedy. There are plenty of ways that this could go off a cliff.
Yeah.
And even if it does, it could still be massively entertaining. Either way, like I'm definitely going to watch it. Like,
and if I may, since he's not here, I'm going to give Michael Vogel's opinion of this trailer. Oh my God, Schmigadoon, when can I move there? Like, that's his tweet. It'll be today. Is like, Schmigadoon, your new resident Michael Vogel is moving in. Like, watch. I know him, and that's what he's going to do. You know it. You're laughing because it's true.
Yeah. I'm not.
And then he's like, "Is it wrong of me that I'm walking my dog singing Schmigadoon all day, and the neighbors are tipping their caps to me? I feel like I'm in Schmigadoon."
Yeah, I worry about some of his tweets. I agree with you. He lives in a fantastical world of West Hollywood.
He lives in Schmigadoon.
I've lived in West Hollywood. That does not happen in West Hollywood.
He's just like walking my dog. Hi, neighbor. Hello, neighbor. Got my cup of Java. Everything's fine in Vogel land.
Wherever he is in his travels, he just felt a disturbance in the
forest.
He knows. Yes, he knows. Our phone's going to be blown up in about 5 minutes.
And one last thing, the people who created this, Barry Sonnenfeld directs all 6 episodes. Okay. So you got a little, Man in Black.
You had my
vibe.
Curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Oh, okay. The 2 creators here are Ken Downo and Cinco Paul, and they've both worked on the Despicable Me stuff, Horton Hears a Who, the Lorax, and so they've done some A Secret Life of Pets as well. So they've done some, and there are a lot of animated stuff. So they're bringing that kind of maybe point of view or approach to it. And the director, one of these guys who created Ken Dario, he also did a bunch of Blink 182 music videos. So it's an interesting combination of talent to make this show there, Shannon and Mike.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at the trailer and think that the guy who directed Pushing Daisies directed this. It's like, that makes perfect sense.
Yes, it does.
And Schmigadoon will be dropping first. I think it's the first 2 episodes on Apple Plus TV, July 16th. And now to our last trailer, which was just released yesterday, the Sopranos prequel, The Many Saints of Newark. So this is actually directed by Alan Taylor of Thor: The Dark World fame, which, John and I are certainly fans of. I know not everyone loves that chapter in the Thor franchise.
Terminator Genesis fame as well.
Well, there's that. But he's also done. He did a ton of episodes for The Sopranos. He did a bunch of Game of Thrones. The whole concept behind this is Anthony Soprano. This is him as a teenager, him sort of being indoctrinated into this world of organized crime. This trailer, I was 100% on board. The fact that, oh my gosh, I just Just
Bernthal?
dropped his name.
James
No,
His son?
Gandolfini. Michael
Yeah.
Gandolfini. His son is playing the role. I mean, Gandolfini is one of those guys that you see. It's like, okay, they're never going to find a lookalike for you. You just have such a specific look, and then you see his child. It's like, oh, okay, there it is. That's the one. This looks incredibly impressive to me. But
what do you
gentlemen,
think there, Shannon? Look at that. What do you think? It's
oh my
close.
gosh. That is 100. Like, if you ever wondered what Gandolfino looked like with hair,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, I mean, he is a 1-for-1. I mean, and this is a really, really impressive cast. I mean, Corey Stoll playing young Uncle Junior. I mean, Ray Liotta pops up in this. Vera Farmiga as Mama Soprano. I mean, the trailer absolutely checked all the boxes for me. The Sopranos is something that I came to during quarantine. So a lot of these characters, I know I had never watched it. I mean, I had heard it was good. Wow. It was just one of those things that it had finished. I heard about the controversial finale. I just never made it. And so when you suddenly had all this time, I mean, and I blazed through it. It was fantastic. But what did you gentlemen think? Why don't we go back to Kalinowski? The Many Saints of Newark. What'd you think?
I'm not a Sopranos guy fan. I did try to watch it. I guess maybe for me, when it comes to mob stuff, I like the more glamorized, like Casino, Goodfellas. You know, I grew up with that stuff. Like, they're, I don't want to say they. So I don't know. I don't want to offend anyone or upset anyone. But my comments that, like, I don't like to do. You know me. I like to make sure everyone's not upset. It just seemed like it always felt like put on, like. And I know he was good in the role, but he did this one, like, for me, it's like, and I'm half Italian. So, you know, there's a lot of things in life in geek world I can't talk about because I don't, you know, this is a little box that I do fit into. I know these characters growing up. Like, I knew these are my aunts and uncles. I knew this kind of world. When James Gandolfini, he did one scene with Edie Falco, right?
Yeah.
He was like, there's like, and we came over in the boats and we took this and we did this and we got our piece of it. And it's like, well, okay, settle down. Like that whole Italian mob, like we did this and we blood in their hands and they didn't do anything. We took it, we got it, we did this and do this to this. And I'm like, okay, all right, settle down. You own the pizza shop on the corner there, all right? And you're, you know, nickel and diamond every business in the street. I'm not a fan of the mob. I'm not a fan of the mob. Does that make any sense? I don't know. Like,
yes, it does.
The whole thing of the mob, I'm just like you made your fortune stealing from other people and bullying other people. I'm not a fan of the mob. I'm more an Elliot Ness character. I like Elliot Ness.
So musicals, mafia, anything that starts with an M, not your cup of tea.
Not your cup of tea.
I get it.
Yeah. Okay.
Johnny,
but it looks brilliant, and the acting in the show is phenomenal. Like it really was. Every single time I'd watch it, like is Paulie Walnuts? Is that his name?
Yeah. Paul.
Like that guy, I could watch him for days. Like there was a clip of the best Paulie Walnuts moments. Like that stuff I love, but yeah, I'm not a fan. Just not for me. That's life.
Understood.
That's life.
Understood. Yeah.
Johnny?
I tell you this. I went into this thing and when I first heard about it, I was like, don't give me a prequel. It gave me Entourage, the movie vibes. Like we moved past this and they were not going back. And I was worried. I really was. Cause I'm like, who's going to embody a young James Gandolfini? He was such a unique energy on this planet, a unique actor in this world. How are you going to embody this? Oh, you get his son. Damn. And then I was like, okay, maybe. Has he acted before? No. All right. And
he's
then
never acted before?
I know. He's got not a lot of experience acting at all. And you look at this, it starts to give me Paul Walker, his brother, standing in for him vibe. So I was a little worried. I was a little worried. But then I saw the trailer. I did a trailer reaction actually for it. When I saw the trailer, I was like, I'll do one, see if I like it or don't like it. And I actually liked it. I was afraid it was going to be like, and please don't get mad at me, I'm afraid it was going to be like a Lionsgate movie where they did a modicum of money and they hired like, a bunch of low-level actors to be part of this thing. No, they brought in a fucking great cast. Alessandro Nivola has always been flying under the radar for a lot of people. He's a fantastic actor, and he never gets his just due. And he shows up in the weirdest places like Face Off, Jurassic Park 3. You just never know where he's going to show up. But he's like a mature actor now. He's older now, and he looks fantastic in the role. I like the look of Michael Gandolfini. We don't see him act too much, so we'll see that down the road. But having Corey Stoll in there is a great foundational thing. Vera Farmiga, I mean, her scoff when the school counselor says, Anthony's a leader. Like, that's just perfect to let you know this woman has been killing this dude's self-esteem since day one. And then you throw in Ray Liotta and his presence, and you throw in John Bernthal, and you throw in the fact that Billy Magnuson is going to be playing Paulie Walnuts, a young Paulie Walnuts. And Silvio is going to be in this. So to me now, after this trailer, I'm more excited to see the movie certainly than I was before. So shout out to Alan Taylor, who did a bunch of Game of Thrones episodes that are good, as you mentioned, Shannon, and a bunch of Sopranos episodes. So he knows this world. So hopefully he's going to bring out the best in this movie.
All right.
Now, real quick, guys, because I don't know this. Is David Chase involved in this?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He co-wrote it.
So he did. Okay. So it's in good hands. I mean,
yeah, he wrote it with another one of the writers from the show.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't a fan of the show, so it's not for me. But if you're a fan of the show, this looks like it hits all the buttons. Yeah, and it's going to give what you want, like John. Because I'm with you, and remakes and reboots and or you do origin stuff. It's like, they're doing something. I forgot what they're doing now, but I'm like, oh, never mind. I don't want to get into that.
Okay,
we won't get into that. I had flashbacks of Uncharted, and I'm like, oh yeah, what's going early again and doing the origins? Oh yeah, Uncharted. Okay, yeah, that turd. Okay.
Wow.
God almighty. I'll come back to the Geek Buddies and we'll discuss that when the trailer drops for that gem.
All right.
So musicals, Mafia, maps. They use maps in Uncharted.
You're stretching, McClung. There you go.
Check.
Well said. And Michael Vogel.
Michael. Perfect.
The Many Saints of Newark will be coming out in theaters, and I believe on HBO Max as well. It's supposed to be October 1st.
October 1st, I know. I'm going to hustle hard to get an early copy of this one.
They're doing theatrical with that?
Yes. Yeah, that's why they kept pushing it, because they wanted to drop it in the theaters. Yeah. I thought for sure this would go HBO Max, but the fact that they're pushing it means they might have some faith in it. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see. All right, let's move on to something else here, and that's the Fast 9 box office numbers real quick. If you haven't seen Fast 9, well, you're one of the rare people that have it. It made $70 million over the weekend and opened in 4,200 North American theaters.
Holy crap.
And the 70 million is the biggest start for a movie at the U.S. box office, not just since COVID, since 2019 Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. So that's insane that it's opening at those kinds of numbers. So clearly, this franchise still has a lot of legs. On the 9th installment, how many franchises can say that? It's pretty incredible. And Quiet Place did well as well. But when you look at this thing, the crowds here, it was 60% male. So that means 40% of the other crowd were female, with 51% of the ticket buyers being under the age of 25. When you're a studio and your 9th installment, a majority, even though it's 1%, a majority, 51%, is under 25, that means you've got multiple installments to go here. And this thing still has a lot of life in it. So 37% of the moviegoers were what? Hispanic. Suck it. 35% were Caucasian, 16% were Black, and 8% Asian. Again, we represent constant patronage of movies, and multiple times. Give us some love for fuck's sake. So pretty incredible stuff here. What do you guys think? $70 million. I mean, they already said they're shooting 10 and 11. The madness of this, they go out into space. I'll be dropping my spoiler review for it tomorrow after I go see it again tonight. What did you guys think of this $70 million opening for Fast 9?
Well, everyone has been waiting for that movie that was going to get audiences in droves back into theaters.
Yeah,
and based off of those returns, it looks like Fast 9 was the one. Now, in terms of my personal taste, as Kalinowski said, not my cup of tea. I saw the first film. I saw the third film. I saw bits of 5 and 6. And it just doesn't resonate with me. I mean, I know, John, you had said how much you loved the 9th installment. I really did like Hobbs and Shaw. Like you and I went and saw that together.
Yeah, that was
what?
Fun.
I enjoy. I mean, that movie was a blast. I mean,
Jesus
again,
Christ,
going in.
With you guys. I cannot with you guys.
Hey, you'll get your turn. Hold on.
I get your chance.
Going in with nothing invested, which is how I went in. I'm kind of like, I don't know. I like The Rock. I like Jason Statham. I am aware of this world. I like Idris Elba. Like, let's go and have a good time. Was it ridiculous? 100%. Do I ever need to see it again? Not really, but I had a blast with my buddy John. And I can't say I'm going to go see Fast 9. It will depend on scheduling. If I happen to have a pocket of 2.5 hours to be like, sure, let's go see it just so we can have an educated viewpoint on the discussion. But what I am glad about is that we now have that movie that got people back into theaters, and that hopefully, I mean, I don't know what the restrictions are right now with all of the Delta variant going on. I'm presuming you might have to mask up to get into the theater, but either way, I'm just glad people are going back to the movies again.
Yeah. What do you think, Kalinowski, about this news that it made $70 million?
I don't tout it like everyone is. I think like they're trying to like, oh, it did so much better than A Quiet Place 2. It's like, yeah, if Quiet Place 2 came out this weekend, it would have done that. Like this was the movie that like we feel it happening. Like at work, we're finally not wearing masks at Universal. Like a week ago, we were still wearing masks. So things have changed. Quiet Place came out a month and a half ago. So I don't tout this. Like, what is its numbers compared to Hobbs and Shaw on its opening weekend? Did it trump those?
Well,
like that's what I would know. Like, let's look at its last film, Fast 8 or whatever, and see its opening weekend numbers. Are they comparable to that? So again, I'm with McClung. I hate these movies. I tried. People are like, go see 5, and I liked 5. I did like 5, so I went back for 6, and then when it was like a 10-mile runway, I'm like, nope. Then I went to 7. Just let's see. Then nope, I didn't see 8. Hobbs and Shaw was absolutely ridiculous. And I'm going to say this because I could talk to you guys, and I've got a soapbox for a second right now. A lot of people say this whole like it knows what it is and it just does it. Let me tell you something. Every movie knows what it is. Every filmmaker, when they make a movie, they know what they're making. So I have a problem, and this is what I'm going to say to John and many of the pundits and our friends and whatnot. Like, please, I just enjoyed myself. I just detached my brain, and I don't care that John Cena's got a zip line that goes all across Scotland and makes no effing sense. But yet, I'm going to say this. Wonder Woman, a magic stone that grants wishes. Well, how do the people get back to reality? If she takes his body, where did the other man's body go? Is he being raped? Why didn't you just detach your brain when you watch that movie? Oh, you couldn't do it because you're a little more invested in it. Like this pick and choose with people when they go to movies, and it's just like, I'm going to attach my brain. It's just because of family. How are cars going in outer space? Doesn't matter because it's family, and family can go into outer space with the car. But Wonder Woman, a dream stone? Well, that makes no sense. What happened? Does people do the reality go back? I don't understand. It's shit. Go fuck yourselves, people. Just detach reality when you go to every movie.
I'm trying not to take that personally, but I'll counter with you a little bit. No, I think as I said, no.
I'm using that because I just recently watched it, and I remember the discourse over having to understand what a dreamstone does in it. And it's like, but Fast and Furious, you're in outer space in a fucking car, and people are like, he said it's family, and it just happens. It just works. I just detached my brain. No, the movies suck. I'm sorry. They're awful. They're terrible movies. Like, give me a effing break. Sorry. All right.
So, no, I don't think you should apologize at all.
They're awful.
You have a right to your opinion.
But people love them. And if you love them and it makes you feel good, good for you. I'll never attack someone in person like and say, it's like, you're wrong. That movie sucks. Like, I didn't like it. This is my feelings. Go and love it. If you love it and you sit there and it's like, you want to spend family with Vin Diesel, go be family with Vin Diesel. Yeah. Cool. Love what you love, people. But don't sit there and attack one movie and the other and you're just like, I just detach reality and it just knows what it is. It just knows what it's doing. It's ridiculous and it knows it.
I think we're going in a little bit of a circle. John has wanted to respond for about 2 minutes.
That's my soapbox on Fast and Furious.
No. That's why I love it, man.
Hey,
okay.
70 million people, $70 million loved it. Go love it.
All right. I agree with you. And I think Kalinowski, whether me and him disagree on a movie or not, and Shannon as well, I don't think any of us ever tell you not to love what you love. No. So that's the thing. And you should not be attacked for loving the films that you love. Nope. You know, I chimed in a little bit recently on my friend over there, John Hui, on the emergency broadcast system. They do the Star Wars stuff. The Resistance broadcast system. And he tweeted something about defending the Rise of Skywalker. And he said, haters, man. And I said, haters are people who have legitimate concerns and I put a wink smiley face on it because I'm just busting his balls. But the response from some of the people were like, you don't know what it's like. We get attacked all the time for liking this movie. And I was like, okay, I get it. I was giving my friends some shit. I didn't know that it's gotten this bad deep in the Star Wars, because I stay out of that toxicity nonsense on that side of the Star Wars fandom because I don't like it. I don't like people telling other people what to hate and what films not to enjoy or what films to enjoy and all that. It's nonsense. That being said, though, we expect more from Wonder Woman than we do from Fast and the Furious because of because that first movie presented an intelligent script, an intelligent exploration of this situation, a fantastic actress bringing. You got to tell me Gal Gadot did way better than Vin Diesel's ever done in any of those Fast and Furious movies. And don't even get me started on the other people in those movies. Gal Gadot in Wonder Woman outacted all of them combined in all those Fast and Furious. So you expect more. That's why it's a case-by-case basis. If I go see Mike Kalinowski, who's first on the roster at his job, I don't expect much from the 8th guy on the roster, but I expect a lot from the first guy on the roster, and that's how I judge it. So I'm not going to judge the show I'm going to judge the show in a different way because of the 8th guy on the roster versus the first guy on the roster.
So mediocrity should be rewarded, and we should get 10 more of these damn films?
I don't know. I'm not saying it should or shouldn't. I'm just saying the public does like it. So.
Here's what I say. People don't like to say this. You know, they're like, if you don't like something, speak with your wall. Don't go see something. Like, don't tell me what I'll see. I'll see everything. I love Resident Evil, the game. I love that game. I went to the first film. Oof, it was rough. I was like, let me give one more shot to it. I went to the second room. It was worse. I was like, I haven't seen a Resident Evil film since then. I spoke with my wallet. I'm not going to go see them. I don't go watch because they're so bad or they understand what they are. It's just like, no, it's like they do well. Like 5 is good. Like Fast 5, whatever it's called, that's a good film. It's still a little ridiculous, the physics of it, but it's still a good film. So they can do it. They just choose not to. They choose to disregard it and just go, you know, super blood. Idris Elba becomes a Superman. You know, it's like. But
wouldn't you be upset if like Captain America did an installment that was very Fast and the Furious? Like, wouldn't you be like, this is dumb? This makes no sense. You're undercutting the characters. You're undercutting the reality of the world that you have worked so hard to build. So that's what I'm saying. Nobody buys into these guys were stealing fucking albums in the first or video cassette recorders in the first movie. So the fact that they're in fucking space by the 9th movie is like, okay, whatever. Like, whatever. I'm going to get McDonald's. That's my McDonald's. But with Wonder Woman, I want a nice steak dinner, and I expected it to be really good. That's what the approach is. But I get your point of view, Mike. I'm not discounting it at all. But I'm just kind of offering another.
I guess the discourse is how do people
love that movie, and you should love that movie. You got a right to love it.
But for different reasons. Than like I understand the first film is 100% better than the second one. It's the same thing with Temple of Doom. I love Temple of Doom almost to the point I think it's my favorite Indiana Jones film. Raiders, infinitely better film. Infinitely better. Everything about it is a better film. I enjoy Temple of Doom more. And maybe that's why I like Wonder Woman 84 is like not more than the first one, but it was a sequel that did something different and just didn't rehash what was loved in the first. Did it fail on certain points? Sure. Will they fix that for the third one? Probably. But I enjoy swinging for the fences.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
Plot holes are in the eye of the beholder.
Exactly.
If a plot hole takes you out of the movie, then for you, the viewer, this particular viewer, it is an issue.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, God love you. You had a better experience than I did.
The Fast and Furious guys, I'm not saying don't. That's your. If you're watching this, listening to it, and you love those films, if that brings you joy, go for it. That's all I care about in a movie is if it brings you joy. Just don't attack someone. I'll never come at you online if you like those films. If you like Crystal Skull, and you say it's better than Temple of Doom, I'll come at you. Yeah, but that's about the only one.
That was a hell of a thread to read for sure. But here's where we are with Fast 9 right now. It's at $76 million according to Box Office Mojo. It is the 3rd highest grossing film already of 2021. We're about to enter July. Just with one weekend, it became the 3rd highest grossing film. It surpassed Cruella, which is at 72, right behind it. But only Godzilla vs. Kong at $100 million is above it total. And Quiet Place Part 2, $137 million. That's an incredible haul for a sequel to a horror film, a 90-minute film that in essence has shades of the COVID stuff. If you turn the aliens, the presence of the aliens and the unknown of what the aliens are all about into COVID, if you catch that symbolism, it's surprising that film did so well overall. So shout out to them for that. And Conjuring is at 57, and Raya right behind there at 6 at 54 million.
Let me say this just to give. I'll give a little praise to Fast and Furious because I'm thankful for the film because it's keeping cinema alive and it's bringing it back in a big way
for sure.
So thank you. Like I'll say that like any film, whether it's a superhero film or whatever, I want all films to do well. I don't want that film to bomb, and because it makes more and more cinema, and people are going to theaters and keeping theaters alive. So I thank you for that. And I probably will go see it in theaters. Just anything I can see in theaters, I'll see because it's not that much right now out there. So yeah, I think that's fantastic that it's getting people in the theaters. And John, like you said, the demographic breakdown on that's insane. Like you say, Black is 65% of the audience.
No, Hispanics was
35.
35.
White 35.
Hispanic was 37. White 35. Black 16%. I think
16%. I think you said 60%. I was like 60%. Holy crap!
Yeah. So it's pretty.
That's fantastic.
I mean, and it's a diverse cast. So don't give me that shit.
No, nothing. You can't fault those casts from the beginning. Have always been diverse from the beginning. They have equal with female male representation as well.
Yes.
So they know what they're doing. It's just not for me.
Right. That's fair.
I don't know if an M's in that anywhere, but machismo.
And just to give us a little bit of a palate cleanser, here's Paulie Walnuts as a young man. There you go. Here's Paulie Walnuts as a young man.
Is that the actor in the movie, or is that the real Paulie Walnuts?
No, that's the real guy.
That's the real actor.
He's always had phenomenal hair.
Look at that. Always. Look at that. That's an outfit for Shang-Chi. I think that could.
He's a Coney. See, put a dragon on his chest. You got something there.
All right. Anyway, let's move on.
And I know we are running out of time here.
So way over.
Are we?
We'll make this last one quick. But over at cinemablend.com, Adrian Peterson wrote a nice article about the Scarlett Johansson's bittersweet feelings about leaving the MCU. Like they talk about the lane of the film and basically just kind of her journey through it, and the fact that Colin Jost, who are they married now, or they're about to be married?
Yeah, they're married. I think they're married.
They have a kid?
How he has actively avoided spoilers during this whole time, but they go through this crazy trajectory that this decade that Scarlett Johansson has played Natasha Romanoff in the MCU, starting in 2010 with Iron Man 2 and ending with 2019 Avengers Endgame. And then they briefly touch on the reviews as well. How you have people who are like, this is Bond for the MCU, and people like, hey, it's a good movie. It also feels a too little, too late. But based off of her feelings. I mean, it seems like that hopefully this movie is going to be a lot of fun. And even if it is a little late, that it's a fitting farewell to Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. But gentlemen, take it away.
Well, I saw it yesterday. And if my thing lasts for one more day, I'm going to watch it again later on tonight. And that should tell you that I enjoyed it. And I think this film, as soon as it was done, I immediately wanted to watch it again. I didn't have the time, but I immediately wanted to watch it again. I had a great time with these characters. Scarlett Johansson, I agree that when people say this is 10 years too late, absolutely. But also the timing, I think, might be kind of perfect. Post Me Too, really diving into a woman's story that is very prevalent, directed by a female filmmaker with incredible collection of actors, especially a lot of the female actors in the movie. It's a great combination of people. Florence Pugh 10 years ago wouldn't have been cast in this role. Seeing her shine like she does in the movie, I think is great timing. And then seeing Scarlett really just embrace being a little bit older with the character, being lived in with the character, understanding the character. So yes, it's a crime that we never got a trilogy of Scarlett Johansson Black Widow films, but enjoy this one. And maybe down the road, we'll see what happens with other things, because they obviously don't place this one right now. It's placed, I think, right after Civil War. So you can play games with that time if you want. So down the road, so she may return to do it. Who knows? But I loved her in the film, and I think she leaves. I think this is a great way to say goodbye to the character, and for other people to step in and reappreciate what she has done and her journey with this character through the whole MCU.
Kalinowski?
Yeah, like I said with the Shang-Chi trailer, this was the film that of the 4 this year that were supposed to come out in the same year that this was I wanted. I'm hearing stuff like, it's Bourne meets Bond meets Terminator.
Yep.
Sold. Like one thing that I love is I hear Lauren Balfe, who was brought in to replace Alexander Desplat with the score. I hear his score is phenomenal. So that's another thing that I love is scores.
Stellar, Kelly.
I love that's the one area. There's 2 areas I think the MCU does falter every now and then. One, it's in their posters, and 2, it's in their scores. Like every character should have an iconic score with these characters, and some of them, like Alan Silvestri's stuff, is just top tier, and then other stuff really does fall short for me and kind of forgettable. But like this one, so here I'm hearing everything that I would love for this. I hear the action is fantastic. It's giving me what I wanted in Winter Soldier, but didn't get those like Bourne spy film fights, the realism, and we got like one or two of those fights in Winter Soldier, and everything kind of went then superhero-y. In Falcon and Winter Soldier. So this, I can't wait. I got my tickets. I think we're seeing it like twice in one day, McClung, maybe. I think we're set for that, and possibly, yeah. And then my girlfriend and I are seeing it on the weekend, so I'm going to see it three times within like a weekend. So I can't wait.
Yeah, I think I'm coming up for the July 8th one. I'm coming up for the night one.
Boy,
Vogel reached out, so I'll be driving up. So we'll see.
Well, Shannon? Black Widow comes out.
What did you think? What do you think about Scarlett Johansson's time as Black Widow overall?
I mean, she was always the character who kind of had to adjust for the movies because she was never in her own movie. Like in Iron Man 2, she was very much the spy. Avengers, she was kind of the company gal. You get to her story gets really interesting in Winter Soldier, where you get to you get a hint of her past. You get her sort of internal struggle of what is the right decision here. And by the time you get to like, I wasn't a huge fan of the Bruce Natasha romance, especially because it
I don't think anyone was.
Yeah, no. It just kind of petered out. I mean, it just seemed really out of character for her. But by the time we get her in Civil War, we get her in Infinity War. I mean, her moment in Endgame, I mean, that was heart-wrenching. That was 100% heart-wrenching. So in terms of performance, I mean, I think she's done a great job every time with what they've asked her to do. And that finally earned her own film, which I'm looking forward to.
I don't think she gets enough credit for her work in Civil War. Yeah. If you watch that film, because she has to play both sides of Steve and Tony, and she's really good in that film. Like, yeah, she's really great in that.
Well, and she's following. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, John.
No, good.
Well, I was going to say she's following that performance in Winter Soldier where she's basically telling the government to kiss her ass. And then she's lit. I mean, Sam calls it out in that scene at the beginning of Civil War. He's like, weren't you just the woman who told the government to kiss your ass? And she's like, look, with everything laid out in front of me, they might have a point.
Yeah. And more of that is explored in this film.
I can't wait.
I like that. I like that a lot. So yeah. All right, let's take a quick break and we'll jump. And Black Widow comes out July 9th. And of course, we'll be seeing it. You'll definitely get a Geek Buddies review of that film for sure. And we'll be back in just a second with our main topic here right after this.
I can turn my fan off.
All right.
I'm back.
All right, Kalinowski is back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as if we haven't argued about a number of things already enough in the show, let's jump into this. This
was loud. Sorry.
No worries, man. I get it. A little bit of controversy happened yesterday, kind of under the radar a little bit, and then it kind of blew up on social media. This is according to a Star Wars fan site, Jedi News. Apparently, the new Mandalorian-themed toy line for Lego features the beloved Boba Fett spaceship. However, its traditional Slave One moniker has been changed to read Boba Fett Starship. It is still listed as Slave One in StarWars.com. And speaking to Jedi News, Lego designer Michael Lee Stockwell said that Lego was no longer using the Slave One name, with fellow designer Jans Kronvold Fredrickson adding, it's probably not something which has been announced publicly, but it is just something that Disney does not want to use anymore. And this Yahoo article connects it back to Disney CEO Bob Chapek saying that they want to pursue universal values. when they approach their content now going into Star Wars and anything they do. And of course, this is what led them to release Gina Carano from The Mandalorian. And so you look at, and of course, fans reacted, and the loudest of them was this gentleman, Mark Anthony Austin, who played Boba Fett uncredited in the 1997 updated version of Star Wars A New Hope. That's the one where Han Solo walks over whatever his name is, Jabba's tail. That's the one there. But yeah, he came out and he's on that's one of the rare acting things he's done. He works as a visual guy for a couple of things over there at Disney. But his tweets here, went on a little bit of a tweet tirade, was like, "My ship will forever be Slave One. Nothing, not even Disney canon will change that. This is the way." Then he said, "Hey, war sounds harsh. Let's change the franchise name to Star Disputes," and then laughs at his own joke in his tweets. And then he says, "I hope nobody buys this newly misnamed franchise. I vow to not give a single dollar myself. Now, if it's packaged Slave One, I might." So this is such an interesting conversation to have here, because I understand why Disney wants to change it. And I wonder what was the impetus to finally make the change, because we haven't heard like this, movement or this petition or anything like that that's been loudly talked about. And this was done quietly on the toys. I don't think they expected it to blow up as big as it did before they made an official announcement, but now it's changed. And by the way, Slave One is never uttered in the movies. It is never called Slave One in any of the movies. So this was just a moniker given to the ship. Kalinowski, I turn to you first. You love to have
me first.
Yeah, you love to have strong opinions on this stuff.
Yeah, buddy.
Talk to me. Is this woke? Is this cancel culture? Or do you understand the reasoning here for children taking that Slave One out?
Okay. I tweeted it. How do I broach this? There's a time and a place for everything, and some things have some things need to be addressed in pop culture. And Song of the South with Disney needs to be addressed and needs to, hey, I get what it is in history, but it's just not right. Mm-hmm. Slave One. Was it hurting anyone? Were children of color looking at this going, "Dad, why is it called this?" Or were they just like, "That's a cool ass starship"? I want to know who the exec was that goes, "We're making this change." Because I guarantee it's probably some white guy. I'm guaranteeing it was probably some white guy that's trying to do the Disney umbrella of everything is, whatever. And Shannon, you made a great point, buddy. Slavery is a huge part of Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Anakin and his mother were slaves. Are we changing that? Are we going to go into that now? And someone made a great post. They posted Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan. He's like, "I need to," and he had like microphones in front of him. He's like, "I just want to say to the people, I apologize for referring to them as sand people. The Tusken Raider are a indigenous species, and they deserve that respect. I shouldn't call them sand people." He's a bounty hunter. He hunts and captures people and sells them. That's what he does. It's not a color thing. He's Mandalorian got an alien at the beginning of the first season, and froze him and sold him. I think this is so nitpicky. There's so many bigger issues if we're going to go for things that should be right and addressed in pop culture. And this is just like Michael Vogel said this great to me one day. He was explaining he doesn't feel all these people are angry and like woke culture and you're taking this away from me, you're taking that away from me. Mm-hmm. I don't think they are as angry when it comes down to it. Like you guys might have been there. They were talking about football, and it's just like some guys, they just want to have a beer on the weekend and watch their football. But now they can't do that because now they're saying, well, the helmets and the concussions, and we need to address this. And he's like, what? My football I can't even watch now? So I see a lot of people upset about this, but it's just like they probably didn't care about the other stuff. They didn't care about Quran. I was like, okay, we get it. Now you're going after the name of a damn toy that's not even said in the movie. Why? Okay. And is this going to be now in the comics? Is it going to be not called Slave One anymore? Like, because the comics, the books, it's so stupid. Why? Was it offending anyone? Was it hurting anyone? Like, I didn't see anyone coming out for this. Like, I can't sometimes with this shit. Sorry.
No, please. This is what we're doing. We have the discussion.
I don't get it. I like Song of the South. Yeah. Carano. Yeah. Address that and deal with it.
Shannon, this is on, and I take, of course, we all take Kalinowski's points, but this is also on the heels of them, in 2015 removing the title of Slave Leia from some of the stuff they did in their
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, in 2015, there's no longer Slave Leia on any of the toys they sell with that design anymore. Of course, they overhauled Splash Mountain and Jungle Cruise, and then also was it in the Pirates of the Caribbean ride, right? Getting rid of the redhead and making her like a wench and making her a pirate queen or something like that. So this is where they're looking. He said, Bob Chapek said, for the Universal's values of respect, values of decency, values of integrity, and values of inclusion. And this may be happening, Shannon, because Boba Fett, who has been seen as a villain, therefore it was okay to call the ship Slave One. Now they're kind of redeeming him with Tamora Morrison stepping in here, Mandalorian season 2, and then giving the Book of Boba Fett. Maybe they think now that he's going into a hero place that this isn't something that a hero would name their ship necessarily. What do you think about this?
I do kind of like the concept of slavery in the Star Wars universe has always existed. Like that has always been a thing. Bounty hunters are not known to be good folks for the most part. So I figured that the name of the ship made sense. Now, as you said, it was never uttered in any of the films. I don't know in the Clone Wars or if any of the animated, like I know in the extended universe, like they do talk about it. Because at one point, Boba Fett pilots Slave 2 because Slave 1 is gone. I personally don't see the issue with this. I've not heard anyone come out on the other side of the argument. I haven't heard anyone. And again, this whole thing, as you said, John, kind of flew under the radar. I've not heard the other side come out saying, thank goodness they finally changed the name of that ship. Now, I look at it from a creative standpoint, like, okay, is his journey as a character in the Book of Boba Fett going to necessitate a change to the name of the ship? Is that something he's actively going to do? Now, if that is the case, that's a different argument. Right. But at the moment, it just seems like, oh, we need to get this term out of the Star Wars universe. And I don't know how that's possible when, again, that's what Anakin was. That's what Shmi was. So I'm curious. I mean, but also, and I can see the other side of the argument as well, like the folks kind of up in arms about this. I mean, especially the guy who played it in the special edition when he said, like, it'll always be my ship. Well, the ship wasn't in the first Star Wars, I don't think.
You're uncredited, pal.
And it's like it's not the name of your ship because you didn't have one.
Right. Well, you got to remember with this guy McClung, these Star Wars guys, these actors, they into that fandom. Like you got these guys that played an X-wing pilot in one scene that doesn't have a name, and he's at conventions making hundreds of dollars. These Star Wars people with these. Like that's his thing, and it's like
I mean, but isn't he also like isn't he like a visual artist?
He stood in for the character because
he literally he was a guy that they threw in the costume to look at the camera for one scene.
But still.
I mean, I don't know if he does the convention circuit. I have no idea. But the fans up in arms about this is like, is this that big a deal? I mean, to me, it's not. It's kind of like, okay, I don't understand why you made that decision. I don't necessarily, but I don't have an issue with it as well. It's like, okay, sure. You want to change the name of the ship? Change the name of the ship.
Yeah, but you have to look at this point. If this was by itself randomly and we weren't going through everything we go through the past couple with cancel culture and woke culture, I don't think people, but it seems like it's just yet one another thing. Like really, now we're changing the name of a ship. Like I'm looking right now on Hasbro's page for the toys, and they're coming out with what's called HasLab, where they take pre-orders and build these giant ships. They're doing a Mando ship, and now they're doing it's listed as Slave One, Star Wars, the Vintage Collection Boba Fett Slave One vehicle. So if and maybe if they had done like, hey, kids' toys, the Lego stuff, no, in the comics we're keeping it because again. It's never really mentioned. We don't talk about it.
Well, and maybe that's what they're doing though as well.
Maybe it's just like packaging,
all ages merchandise. That
but in the comics, it's still that.
Yeah, I think that's right. To go back and retcon this name out of existence, it'll never work. I mean, there's too much stuff out there,
and there's too many Star Wars fans.
Yeah, exactly. Slave Leia was a nickname. This is an actual name of a ship, and so there we go. Now that being said, neither one of us are black. And so we don't know what that has been like. And I understand, of course, I take all your points and totally see where you're coming from. Billy D. Williams has reprised his character of Lando Calrissian in 2008 on Robot Chicken. And he said this line during that show. He said, I have to say, Boba, this is one beauty of a ship. Not crazy about the name, though. So even back in 2008, there was media where a black actor who played Lando Calrissian was pointing out that having an iconic character have a ship that echoes 400 years of slavery that has happened in this country. And yes, we can say it's out in Star Wars and blah, 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 and shmee, but like, it's not, when we think of slavery, when you hear the word slavery, you don't think of Anakin Skywalker, you think of slavery here in our country. And since we're the creators of this merchandise, creators of, well, I don't know if it's made in China, made in Japan, I don't know, but we're the creators of this franchise here in America. Maybe these people feel a responsibility. And I do hear your point that I haven't heard the other side complain, but maybe sometimes they don't have to. Maybe it's okay for someone to be a little more forward thinking, to be like, you know what, let's change this thing. He's going to be a hero. Let's just call it Boba Fett's spaceship and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have to be like the Washington football team where when they got threatened by investors who are going to remove their ads from the team, did Dan Snyder all of a sudden say, you know what, maybe it is not good, cool to call us the Washington Redskins? Like, well, that's bullshit, right? But that is like bullshit, because that's not real. That's not actually authentic. Someone being proactive, that's possibly authentic, and I appreciate that. I do take your point. I do understand a lot of Star Wars fans who are upset about this, and I do take your point as well, Kalinowski, that it's a ball of stuff that is happening over and over and over
it's
again.
Just so much. And this is like yet one another thing. It's like, really? This is what you're going to change now? It's like, come on. You got to kind of pick and choose your battle sometimes, I think. And this was one of those ones that's like, I don't think it's worth it. But hey, again, white guy, so it doesn't. But again, I look at it in the terms of it's not.
Well, it doesn't mean
it's not a G.I. Joe vehicle. It's not a G.I. Joe where it's in this world and it's called Cobra's slave ship. Right. It's Star Wars. It's a galaxy far, far away. God. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, Cobra has a chip called the Slave Trader or something. Like, yeah, you don't do that. That G.I. Joe, get in there. That. Yeah, change that. No. Yeah, Cobra, G.I. Joe, get in my Slave Trader. But like Star Wars, it's a galaxy far, far away. It's slavery is a huge part of Star Wars. It is. Anakin, the lead character, was a slave. Yeah, bought and sold. I mean. I'm just an old white guy that's becoming more and more crotchety as the years go on, dude. I talked to McClung about this. I was like, when you were younger and you saw older people, like, man, they're so crotchety. How do they get that way? And now I'm getting that way. I was like, now I see it.
Of course.
Now I see it.
Well, we've lived a life. We've lived a life.
We have.
When you live a life, you have a whole different perspective.
We have.
World, for sure.
Doesn't
mean we can't learn things, but we do have a different perspective. And
it's tougher to learn them.
I get it. Shannon, any final words on this one before we wrap it up?
No, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's we all grew up with Star Wars. We all have an ownership of it. It is owned by a private company.
Yeah.
They spent a lot of money for the ability to change that name. So at the end of the day, is changing that name going to get you off of Star Wars? Probably not. Mm-hmm. So that's, this is the cost of doing business. Sometimes, sometimes ownership changes hands and decisions get made that you may not agree with. But at the end of the day, John is always going to be a Washington football team fan. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. I won't be a Redskins fan, but I'll be a Washington football team fan for sure. Yeah. Which sucks, but it's the game.
For me, it's always going to be Slave One. Am I going to go wear a shirt that says, to me, it's Slave One? No, I won't. But you can guarantee a Comic-Con. You can guarantee a Comic-Con next year. You're going to see it'll always be Slave One to me. I guarantee it.
I want to see those.
Will I own a shirt like that? Never. Will I say anything like that? No. But I'll call it Slave One when I'm talking about it. You got a Slave One toy. That's pretty awesome.
I will say, for Mandalorian Season 2, when we did talk about the show, I never referred to it as Slave One. I was like, hey.
Oh, see, I talked about it. I thought it was oh, no, I was just like, oh, man, Slave One, the way we find out Slave One, the inside cockpit shifts around is like, like I did call it that a lot.
Interesting. That's fair, man. I didn't notice that. So great to see that, Shannon, for sure. But so it's obviously you can see both sides of this situation. Yeah. I think where I'm at is, if you're going to make this kind of decision, make it. Stand out front, take the hits, and make it, and say, officially, it is no longer called this. We're going to do it this way. Not go kind of passive aggressively through the toys to see how people react, to kind of numb the reaction, and then make the decision.
You think that's what you think in the lore of Disney Star Wars that is now like Filoni and them, when you're writing, this stuff, it's not Slave One anymore. You're going to
absolutely
find a way to create a name for it, because it's gonna, like, that to me is the problem. If you find a way to change that name and you have to write it into the story, then it's like, all right, this is I mean, because the ship is there. Book of Boba, that's going to be in that movie. It's going to be in there, or that series. So we'll find out in a couple months then, I guess.
That's for sure. Anything? All right, there we go. That's I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Thank you all so much for watching or listening to this week's episode of the Geek Buddies. And of course, a massive thank you to Mike Kalinowski for joining us.
Of course, thanks for letting me soapbox, boys.
Absolutely, brother. It's always good to hear your points of views. Please, where can people find you, and what do you have to plug? What do you got going on, my man?
I'm plugging myself at Mike Kalinowski on Twitter. I got something very big in the works. I cannot still talk about it because it's just not ready to go yet. But we're getting close. We're getting very close to being. I know I've kind of teased it a little bit before. I think maybe by the end of summer, we'll be looking. Yeah. Nice. So, and I will happy to talk about that when it happens.
Sounds good. All right. Awesome. Shannon McClung, what do we have to tell him?
Yeah, you'd like to follow us on social media. On Twitter, it's at geek_buddies. On Instagram, at _geek_buddies. You'd like to follow me on social media. On Twitter, it's at Shannon_McClung. On Instagram, it's Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you would like to follow the absent Michael Vogel, it is at MKToon. If you would like to follow Mr. Roca, it is at The Roca Says.
And that's right. And do all that definitely on social media. It's really important to follow us and promote everything we got going on here. And please, if you are watching or listening to us, I can't come up with a clever segue like Michael does. So I'm just going to tell you, please leave reviews, subscribe to the podcast feed, leave us comments down below, subscribe to the channel, the Outlaw Nation channel, hit that bell. And give some love to everything we got going on here on the channel as well, please. And as I said, go and subscribe to the podcast. Leave us reviews, leave us ratings. It elevates the visibility of the show, elevates it being suggested to other people. Those are all positive things for us here on the Geek Buddies. All right, you all take care of yourselves. Be well, and we'll talk to you next time on another brand new episode of The
Geek
Buddies.
Hey!